Hello and welcome. We've got a very special interview here on the Jackson Generals Baseball Network. I'm Brandon Liebhaber, voice of the Generals, and I'm alongside Jack Zduriencik, General Manager of the Seattle Mariners, who's come to Jackson for a visit. Jack, how are you?
Good, Brandon. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. We're really excited to have you here in Jackson. Obviously, the big story tonight, Danny Hultzen's about to make his first professional start in about 20 months. He last pitched with Tacoma in September of 2013. Before we get into the baseball aspect of it, what is it going to mean to you to watch him just throw a baseball in an affiliated game again?
Well, we saw him in spring training, and I got to tell you, after being out for that length of time, and to do what he did in spring training was impressive. But, you know, Danny's a great kid. We have a lot invested in him. You really pull for the person, you pull for the player. This is their dream. You know, and as much as we root for everybody, when you have scenarios where kids get setbacks like Danny has, and he's been able to overcome it, and it appears that he's well on his way to doing that. You just pull for him on a personal level. So I think it'll be a lot of fun tonight. I don't have any expectations tonight on what to expect out of him. All I want to do is see Danny be healthy, get his feet on the ground. I know that to pitch in a championship season scenario in front of a crowd will be a lot of fun for him.
Absolutely, and he's got a history here having pitched in Jackson in 2012. That team also featured Taijuan Walker and James Paxton, so everyone in Jackson is really happy to see him. You say you don't have any expectations, so is there anything you're looking for, or is it just getting him back out on the mound?
I think on an evening like tonight, it's hard to say what his emotions will be, and I think you have to consider that when you're in my position, and as a manager's position as well, when you look at him and realize that he's been building for this, he's been waiting to get back into real competition. You know, so it's hard to say. He's going to be amped up, there's no doubt about it. You want him to have a nice outing, you like him to walk off healthy, feel really good about it, and tomorrow is a big test when he comes to the ballpark. How do you feel after your first outing in a you know, in a real setting? So there's a lot of factors here, but again, I think once he gets on a mound, he'll settle in, and we'll watch the Danny that we all are, you know, are real proud of.
We're hoping to see that same Danny from 2012 and the Danny that was drafted second overall in 2011. The velocity was really there during spring training. It seemed like he was throwing in the low to mid 90s. Did that surprise even you for someone coming off that kind of operation on his throwing shoulder?
I was shocked. The first day that he threw, we were limiting him to 15 pitches. We just wanted to get him on a mound. He had thrown a little in instructional league last September, but then he worked his whole winter. You know, now he's going through, at that point in time, it was about 18 months since he's really been on a mound. And I thought if he'd come out and throw 90 miles an hour, I think we'd all be really happy. That would be a big step. I mean, he's throwing 94 to 96, and we all were like, wow, you know, this was very impressive. You know, and I think that was what he did in the past when he was on. But, you know, Danny could be a 90 to 93 mile an hour guy, and that's great. You know, it's command and using his pitches are a big factor. He's got great life to his changeup, got a really good life to his fastball. His slider's a nice pitch. I think, again, just get out here, get through it, and let it all settle in.
So you're here in Jackson as we move away from Danny and maybe to some of the other guys on the team. You're the big league general manager. Obviously, your focus is on the Seattle Mariners and what you can do to improve the team. So how on a daily basis do you follow the minor league affiliates? What do you do to keep up with what they're doing? And what are the things you're looking for when you come to a minor league game like this as the big league general manager? I think it might be maybe different than what the Rovers are doing and those kinds of guys.
Yeah, no doubt. My job is completely different. You know, I don't have the on-field responsibilities that they do, nor can I do it, nor do I want to, for that matter. But a lot of the reasons you come in is to see your kids, talk to the coaches, let them know that you're behind them and support them. It's important that we have a really good relationship with the ownership here. You know, I spent a lot of time with Reese Smith last night, and that was really a lot of fun. It is just being a support. You know, to come in on one given day or 2 days or 3 days, try to make any assessment on what goes on here. You know, that's the kids are excited. You know, the general manager's in town. Some of the Rovers are here. They're going to try to perform. You know, they're anxious. So I take it with a grain of salt. I think the big thing is to continue our relationship. You know, to show this community, this organization here in Jackson, you know, that you are a major part of what happens in Seattle. You look at our club today. You know, as you mentioned, we talked about Brad Miller, and you know, we've got Paxton, and we've got Taijuan Walker, and there's numerous others that have come through here. That's a really, really important relationship between the major league team and your AA club. This is the big test. When a kid gets to AA, you begin to really tell whether or not he's going to proceed to be a big league player. below this level, a lot of times it's learning, and it's kids for the first time in pro ball, coming out of college, or the high school kids going through A ball. Double A is a huge step, and this relationship with this city and this franchise is very important to us.
Well, we think it's very important too. This is our 9th year as an affiliate of the Seattle Mariners, which ties the length of West 10's original affiliation with the Chicago Cubs. And you mentioned some names, Kyle Seager, Mike Zunino. We're really happy to see those guys go from Jackson and make it to Seattle. We like to think of ourselves as part of the road to Seattle, and it's a big part of what we do here. So it's great to have you here. You talked a little bit about, you know, the jump to Double A from High A, and I've heard so many people say this is the big test for guys. Why is it such a big test for guys coming from High A to Double A? What is the jump? What are the adjustments that they have to make that make it more difficult than maybe some of the other jumps within the minor league system?
I think age and maturity are big factors when you get to Double A baseball, because you may have guys on this club that were in Triple A. You know, you will have maybe somebody who was even in the big leagues at some point in time trying to restart his career. When you're in A ball, you have a lot of guys that are just coming into pro ball for the first time. So when you hit this level, this is a big, again, it's an acid test. It's, you know, you got the bus rides and you got all of the, you know, close to a big league scenario at Double A level. I just think the maturation, the maturity at this level, you're going to be with players that have been in pro ball for 4, 5, 6, 7 years sometimes. That's a huge factor. They know how to play the game. So below this level, sometimes you'll get, you know, players that are very talented, but this is the separator right here, I think, Double A and above.
Moving to the big league club now, team is 10-12, a bit of a slow start to the season, but certainly we've seen some flashes of the Seattle team that I think everyone expected to see going into the season. Nelson Cruz was a guy you signed to a big contract coming into this year. He already has 10 home runs. Obviously, you were expecting production from him, but are you surprised that he's been able to do so much so quickly for you guys?
He's been wonderful for our ball club. He's a tremendous person. You know, his history is a late starter. He was really a basketball player in the Dominican Republic and really got a late start in baseball. And I think even at the age of 34, I think this is one of those players. He's got a great frame, a great body, keeps himself in great shape. I think he's just, you know, the last few years where he's starting to really get into a prime. So we're really happy with him. How he's handled all of this and how he's been as a teammate and how he represented the organization has been fantastic.
He's off to a great start. Now, a couple of guys that we have already touched on will probably need to step up now. Taijuan Walker and James Paxton are key parts of the rotation, and of course, former Generals. Hisashi Iwakuma on the DL. It looks like Walker and Paxton are starting to come around. Both are coming off very solid starts. What have you seen from them in the early part of this season?
They're both very talented players. You know, both guys have great arms, have great secondary pitches, but they're young. You know, and I think when I was asked this winter, we got a lot of publicity this winter on the kind of club that people were projecting us to be. You know, I would try to back everybody off. You know, the expectations are a little bit ahead of us. We haven't done it yet. You know, we haven't played a game yet. We finished a game out a year ago making the playoffs with 87 wins. But I think with these two kids, it's just a matter of time. If they stay healthy, there's no limit, because even last night, James was up to 97, pitched a really nice game in Houston. Taijuan's last 2 outings have been very impressive. So it's the acclimation of being comfortable at the big league level. Getting there with your talent is one thing. Then getting exposed is a second. But there's that point when you have to get comfortable with who you are and big league hitters. And when these two kids do that, they have a chance to be really good.
Well, we certainly know how good they can be. They were good in Jackson, and they're starting to do big things in Seattle. We're really happy to see that. So good luck to you, Jack. Thank you so much for joining me on the Jackson Generals Baseball Network. It means an awful lot.
Well, it's good to be in Tennessee. You know, I had my roots here years ago. I was at Austin Peay. I coached football and baseball at Austin Peay. Got my master's degree there. So I used to come out this way and recruit both football and baseball. So it's always great to get back to Tennessee. You know, I love the state, love the people here, and really happy that we're in this place with this ownership group and the people. And thank you very much for supporting the Jackson Generals and the Seattle Mariners.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Jack. That's Jack Zduriencik, GM of the Seattle Mariners here on the Jackson Generals Baseball. I'm Brandon Leafhaber saying so long from the ballpark at Jackson.